that you are a source of bad luck. Like you are the ones فإن تصبهم حسناتهم نحو الأعراف قالوا لنا هذه وإن تصبهم سيئة يطيروا بموسى ومن معه. If they feel that something wrong is afflicting them, they will say that Musa is the cause of this. Yeah, he is the one who brought all of this. This is the fallacy of false causality. This is not, he didn't bring them any evil. They are the ones who brought the evil by their, like for example, مغالطة عدم الترابط, which will be here, the non-relation fallacy. There is no relation between, for example, the Lut sallallahu alayhi wasallam and him purifying himself and the people of Sodom at that time, Sodom and Gomorrah, Amoriya, when they wanted to kick them out just because they cleaned themselves. أخرجوا آل لوط من قريتكم إنهم أناس يتطهرون. So they clean themselves and they think that this is bringing all sorts of evil to them, even though it's supposed to bring good. They are cleaning themselves. So this is عدم الترابط, مغالطة عدم الترابط. This is the fallacy of no relation, really. There's no relation between what they are talking about. شهرة الفكرة, like for example, the appeal to popularity of the idea. Yeah, please. The appeal of the popularity of the idea. ما سمعنا بهذا في آبائنا الأولين. We have never heard that in our. So if you hear about it, then it becomes truth. And this is, you see, all of these fallacies, if you analyze them, they are part of the media strategies of today's world. And once you have human societies that operate logically according to fallacies, then you allow so much injustice to happen and so much harm to happen based on that. You see, the fallacy of popularity is actually one of the major fallacies today. Once somebody is popular, then he's truthful. Once somebody has like 50 million views on YouTube, then he's a good guy or a good girl, even though she has 50 million YouTube viewers, because she's an idiot. I mean, she is bringing all sorts of wrong in the society. You know, it's not because she is saying anything useful. And then the popularity fallacy gets into the Islamic thought. You see, sometimes I talk about maqasid and so on, obviously. Oh no, but this is not a very popular idea. Well, I don't care if it's popular or not. I'm talking about the truth. And of course the truth is not popular. In fact, by definition, the truth is not popular. وَإِن تُطِعْ أَكْثَرَ مَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ يُضِلُّكَ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. If you follow most people on earth, they will lead you astray. So by definition, the majority of any society are wrong on any issue. It's not an argument against democracy, but it's
majority rules.
مشكلة, but then you have to make the majority aware so that they elect. Educated.
They manipulated.
If they are educated, then they elect the right person. But if you are talking about an ignorant majority, then they don't establish legitimacy. You know, the Sharia, the legitimacy from an Islamic point of view, is not established by a ballot box. The legitimacy, because a ballot box could establish a tyrant. Yeah, Hitler was elected in one election one day, and you see the guy in the United States, and so forth. So there is no legitimacy for a ballot box unless the population is educated. Otherwise, it's a fallacy of popularity. He's right just because he's popular, even though he might not be right by all measures that are related to values, related to objectives. So the truth, al-haqq wal-batil in that sense, is not a popularity thing. And don't measure the truth of anything. That is a major problem, because the source of education today is the internet. 90% of the new generation's information, 95%, is the internet. And how do they get to the material on the internet? By Googling it. So they just Google something. What appears in the top search of Google are advertised pages, are pages that are sponsored by money. And this is a major problem because you will find the first 20 or 100 wrong pages before you find the right page. If you look for anything on the internet, what comes to the forefront are the sponsored links. And then the links that are related to, because of the sponsored links. If you look for any hadith, and since I work in scholarship, I do sometimes look for the hadith. And of course, I look for the references of where the hadith is narrated, and then I click, and I go to Bukhari and read, khalas. But if I look for the interpretation of the hadith, or even sometimes, oftentimes, like in my area of research, the hukum on the hadith, how to evaluate the hadith, you will find 20 wrong pages before you get to the right page. Why? Because the 20 wrong pages are the most sponsored pages. And money doesn't serve the truth. In general, money serves falsehood. And when it serves the truth, it serves particular schools and so forth. And that is a major problem, because what shapes Islam, when somebody wants to look for Islam today, and they say Islam, is Islam oppressive? Is Islam racist? Is Islam? You will find the first 20 pages giving you wrong information about Islam. Because the first 20 pages are going to be the Islamophobic pages, we call them. And now it's a new trend that some Muslims support the Islamophobic pages. If you look at the American CAIR, C-A-I-R, an organization that deals with human rights and social justice in America, they have a thick report on Islamophobia that they published a few months ago, Islamophobia report. It's what, 300-400 pages looking at Islamophobia as an industry. It's a $4 billion industry.
Wow.
And a lot of the money comes from Muslims, from the Arabs, really, sponsoring Islamophobes in America, giving them money in order to play their politics. And you see their names and the banks and so on and this and that. Yes, my sister, sorry. No.
Yeah, no. I just wanted to know the logic that young man was talking about. I'm thinking of the story of Nabi Ibrahim and the story of the fire not burning him and of the knife not cutting him. So that's what the Prophet is saying, that there doesn't have to be the specific effect that you're looking for in the cause, not meaning that there's something wrong with the blade or that the fire is not hot enough. It's just that with the physical aspect that we're looking at now, that Allah can allow anything to happen or not.
Yes. To me, the example of fire and Ibrahim and so on, and the miracles in general, are a proof that causality is only by the will of Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala. The fire burns only by the will of Allah. And if Allah wants the fire not to burn, it will not burn. And it also proves of the consciousness of the material world. قلنا يا نار كوني بردا وسلاما. He talked to the وأوحى ربك إلى النحل. He sent a revelation to the bees, and so forth. So I believe that everything is rational, and that the division of rational and irrational, a la Greek logic, but that level of logic, is wrong. Because everything is rational, everything knows Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah talked about the birds, كُلٌّ قَدْ عَلِمَ صَلَاتَهُ وَتَسْبِيحَهُ. Each bird knows its prayers and its tasbih, and so forth. And not only the animals and birds, which most, as I mentioned in one of the lectures, most neuroscientists would not consider them conscious. They are conscious, as much as we are. And they are communities as much as they are. And they have families and children, and they might not have a similar approach to family or children. They might not have the same emotions when it comes to social relationships. But they are ummah, like us, in fact. But not only that, it's also the sea animals, and it's also the insects, and all of them. They have languages, they have communities. But my reading of the Quran and the Sunnah in a very strong way is actually that matter also has consciousness and language, and they might not communicate in our language unless there is a miracle. You know, the stone that used to tell the Prophet Assalamu alaikum, it doesn't mean that every stone says Assalamu alaikum in Arabic like that, but I would understand from that the stone has a language and has a consciousness.
In South Africa is a goeiemorgen.
Is
Goeiemorgen.
also
The stone.
Morning.
Morning, the language of the
oh,
people.
morning, yeah. And if they want to greet you, morning. I'm learning now more.
Professor, I just want to know, you said something very difficult for me to understand. The truth is never popular. So when you come with the truth,
Yeah.
whose truth? Which truth? The real truth? Your truth?
Exactly. No, truth is not relative. Truth is truth. The oneness of Allah is truth. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I mean, if you ask the majority of people, do you believe in God? The majority of them would say no. Or they believe in God as a human, or as a tree, or as a cow, or whatever it is. But the God who's God, Allah, that's truth. And that's a minority of